Let's hope I don't forget things. Ta-da! Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. We're live. we are with Royce Morales tonight, and we just came on a couple minutes early to get you guys coming on in here, and we are very excited. We're going to be talking about what she does, what she teaches, all about her books, all kinds of neat stuff.
Yeah, because I was reading some stuff. I don't do it too often, but I do once in a while. Hey, Jojo. And this woman is really interesting. There's so many things that she says and does that so connect to me, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to have a long conversation.
Until showtime.
Yeah. Well,
Dude, we already got 5 people watching us.
All right, good. Hi, everybody. I can't see your comments yet because I have a video up on queue over here that I'm going to be playing in a minute.
That's okay. We have Jojo saying hi, even waiting. She's been waiting all day for us. Yay!
Aw, I love
Jonice is in the chat, and Robert.
Jonice, I'm going to see tomorrow. That's where I'm going to her house for the weekend. I'm very excited.
Yeah, Jonice, what happened? I didn't get my invitation.
We're sending a helicopter.
Taryn, oh gosh, Taryn.
Hi, Taryn. I love you, beautiful girl. That's my girl. I love her. I love her. All right, what do we got? I see you. I see you. Here it is. Hi.
The show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Long Talk Radio.
Hi, everybody. I have a video to show and play for you. So if you are listening, audio only, that's one thing. Please go to our YouTube channel, like and subscribe to the Fox Den hosted by Gina Bankston, and then you will be able to see the video as well as hearing the video. So here it is about our guest tonight. She'll be with us as soon as the video ends. Good evening, everybody. I am Gina B, and the place to be is here with me and Mama D every Thursday evening from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in the Fox Den. Tonight we have Royce Morales. She is a renowned spiritual teacher who has been teaching breakthrough core self-discovery work for over 4 decades. She provides tools with her powerful teachings to get to the root of subconscious, fear-based programming so that stuck issues, repetitive patterns, and fears can resolve. Royce is the author of 3 books about her teachings. Want, True Love, Past Lives, and Other Complications. Want is the truest story of soulmate love. Eternal love meets the fear of love head on. Know, a spiritual wake-up call. This explains details of Royce's decades of transformational teachings in a heartfelt, informational workbook format. And Back, Rebirth After Stroke. This offers hope, inspiration, support, and encouragement to anyone going through life-altering experiences, finding the gifts of awakening in any struggle. Her books inspire evolution, awareness, and empowerment. The underlying message is a wake-up call towards authentic, heart wires, acceptance of self, others in life, and never give up. Many psychologists take her courses and use the training with their own clients. Royce Morales' website is www.royce, R-O-Y-C-E, Morales, M-O-R-A-L-E-S.com. Welcome to the Fox Den, Royce. And here she is.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you for being with us. And hello, everybody in the chat room. Chris is here, Cheryl, Jonice, Taryn, Jojo. Hi, everybody. Please, you know the drill. Share the video. We want to get Royce's information out there to as many people as we possibly can. So, Royce, now that video did explain somewhat of what you do, but how is it? How did you start teaching?
Oh, God. It's a great story. I was just one of these kids that just used to ask my mother questions about life and what is the meaning of life and what happens when you die. I'm this like 3-year-old and 4-year-old asking these profound questions. And my poor mom, she was this intellectual type and she was not religious at all. So she used to say, well, she'd make things up and nothing would feel right. Nothing answered my inquisitive brain. And so at a really young age, I started my own little search. I looked in religions, I went looking in philosophies, I went to spiritual classes, I did everything trying to get some answers. And I just found that, they kind of gave me answers, but I would be on my way home, flipping people off on the freeway and, screaming at my son when I'd get home. And it's like, something is off here. There must be something more. And one of the organizations that I had been taking classes in, it was called the Spiritualist Society. And it was basically learning how to become a channeler, a medium in those days. And it's kind of interesting how I found out about that too, but that's a whole other story. But needless to say, it was all very coincidental that I landed in this place. And I just found that it, again, was kind of just, giving me a few answers here and there. But then they started saying all this weird stuff that I didn't agree with, including, oh, no, we don't believe in past lives. And there they were, a spiritualist organization, a spiritual organization, saying they didn't believe in past lives. And they had the most ridiculous reasoning behind that. They said, how could a fully grown spirit get into a body? That just doesn't make any sense. It was
Wow.
crazy.
Wow.
And so the teacher that I had been studying under for several years, and I had become, their prize channeler, she needed to go on vacation one time and she asked me to cover for her in class. And I said, okay, sure. And I had no idea what I was going to do, but I got to the class and decided, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to let people talk because we've been in class together for 3 years and nobody really knew anything about each other. So everybody talked and they opened up, and at the end of the evening, everybody was hugging me and saying, oh my God, that was the best class ever. And I'm like, okay.
That's a good feeling. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is.
And
Yeah.
one of the students came up to me and said, you seem to know a lot of stuff. Would you consider teaching me? And it was one of those moments in my life that I look back on and I realized the perfection of it. But I'm thinking to myself, what? I don't know anything. Yeah, I've been studying things for my entire adult life, but I don't know a thing. But out of my mouth came, sure, I'd love to bring your friends. And so she did.
Yep.
A few weeks later, it had 10 people arrive in my living room, and I started, kind of regurgitating some of the stuff that I had learned. But shortly, very soon afterwards, people would ask me questions, and in my head, again, I'd think, oh, I don't know what the answer is, but out of my mouth would come an answer. And I'd kind of sit there and go, wow, that was pretty profound. And they would leave and I would cry, but I would write down everything that I had said. And it just kind of snowballed from there. I started, with small groups in my house, and then it evolved into groups in other people's homes. And then I started a center in Redondo Beach, and the rest is history. And it's been a long time.
That's a cool story too about your center, on how you found the center and did that. Tell that story, because I like that. That goes right along with this perfectly.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. I had learned several times, again, kind of, in my face learning. That's the best way I learn, because I'm really a skeptic. You've got to prove things to me. And so I was meditating in a group one time, and all of a sudden I just saw this street sign, and I saw a building, and I saw a sign in the building that says for rent. And I literally was given directions on how to get there. And I got up out of the meditation, grabbed my husband and said, okay, now we turn here and we go here and we do this. And I literally looked up and there it was. And the building said for rent. And I walked in and I said, okay, I'll take it. I didn't even really hardly look at the space. I just signed the check right then.
Yeah.
And from that point on, I actually moved into a bigger space a few years later, but it was, meant to be, as they say.
Yep.
Yeah.
Meant to be, meant to be. That's
Universal GPS.
Yes, that GPS, you got to trust it. I've
we're
trusted
all
it more times than I can count, and it's
yes,
never led me astray. Yeah.
that's right. That's right. Um, Robert Clark says, I totally believe that we keep coming back in another life until we get things right.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
that's the karma and the dharma situation going on there. Um,
Definitely.
yes, I think so too. And I think, like I believe I'm an old soul. Do you believe in things like that? Like how you can tell, just the way
Oh,
that you
yeah.
talk, the way you act, the way you feel about
Yes.
things,
Yes,
like
definitely. Yeah.
I know a lot of things about a lot of things.
Yes.
I just say it's claircognizance, it just comes out of nowhere. I just know how to do
Yes.
it.
Yes. Yeah.
But I think it could be just past life things. I could have been a carpenter in a past life. I could have been this or that. Jack of all trades. I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. You know what I mean? Just everything. I do
Oh
everything.
God, I hate that saying.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there are some people, I mean, everybody's had past lives. I don't think there's anybody here that's brand new. Um, but there's certain levels of evolution that we get to as we experience more and more past lives. And we do evolve and we get to the point where we are, quote, an old soul. Um, because we've established much more wisdom and we've resolved much more issues. We're here with a kind of a capital P purpose, and people that are less evolved don't feel that way. They don't even get it. They don't understand. They don't relate to it. So yeah, you're definitely an old soul.
No, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
Joe says, is bad luck, bad karma from a past life? Well, kind of. It's kind of like that. I mean, karma is like, some people look at it as you're deemed to repeat until you get it right. So when you wish bad karma on someone, they're going to have to come back and repeat the mistakes that they're making now, or whatever. Um, I don't know. Maybe you can explain that better than I can.
Well, karma literally means cause and effect. So if I throw a pebble into a lake, there's going to be a ripple. There's no way around it.
Yeah.
So karma is just something that whatever it is that we did that we decided was bad or hurtful or negative in some way, we're going to attract situations that wake us up to that. So it's not that it's bad luck, it's just, hey, I need to resolve this. So I'm having this situation in my face so I can look at it and remember and clean it up. And I talk a lot about that. In fact, my students, I drive them crazy with that because it's why we're here. We are here to remember what we did so we can clean it up and evolve and get to a point of self-acceptance, love for others, peace on earth, kumbaya, all that stuff. But that's what we're here to do.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
we could just get everybody on that bandwagon, it would be a beautiful
Yeah.
thing. But
Nice.
yeah, Jojo, that is what she does. That's why she's here. She's talking about her classes, her courses, her teachings. It is, and it's to clean up in a lot of these issues that do affect us today: health, mental, physical. All these things are a lot related to past lives. So once you know this, once you accept it, see, the thing is Royce has done all the work. She has
Not
gone.
all of it. There's more. There's always more.
Yeah, there's always more. But you have. I think it's kind of like your mantra, even like reading your information, the stories about you, what I feel about you, is you don't just half-ass anything. Just to put it mildly, you are going to go in there and you're gonna do it to its end. Like you tried all these other courses. So what was it? Why did trying all these other things fail for you? Is because
They didn't go deep enough.
right,
They just said,
exactly.
basically, they either said, fake it until you make it,
Boom.
or, say 10 mantras, or, think positively, or there were all of these spiritual cliches and spiritual bypass. I love that term. That's the latest term that I keep hearing people using, you know, all of that stuff. It's like, okay, well, it's true, yeah, but how do I live from that place? I want to be that person that knows that everything happens for a reason, not because I'm quoting it really well, not because
Yeah.
I have it up on my wall somewhere. It has to be part of me. It has to be who I am. So yeah.
yeah, that breakthrough aha type moment. I feel it. I'm
Yeah,
living it. I know it. When you know it in your gut is when you know you got it. But then that's still scratching the surface. It's still,
yeah,
like, all right, now that's the beginning. That's like, that's the dawn of the awakening.
yes, yeah. And I find that the past life work that I do, that's what makes it real. So, when I experience something that's negative or something is wrong with my health, or I keep noticing repetitious shortage of money problems or whatever it is, if I'm able to source that back in the work that I do and I discover where that originated, where's the exact moment that I decided I don't deserve money, or where I chose to be in a body that was going to get sick, or whatever it is. There's a specific moment in, way the heck back there. It could be 50 lifetimes ago, or it could be the last lifetime. So wherever I decided that, that's what I've been living out. So that's what I help people do. I help them discover the roots of the subconscious notion that's been in charge of our lives
Yeah.
and resolve it, get rid of it, pull it up. I tell people, I give them two things when they start my classes. I have one of them on my necklace here. One of them is a shovel, and the other is a mirror.
Oh,
It's
yes,
like
we're
you
gonna talk
dig it
about
up and you take a look. Yeah,
yeah, we're gonna talk about the mirror, the 5 Reiki principles Robert was talking about there. Um,
I've got one. What is the basics of what you teach? What is the foundation?
the foundation is that we are walking around in a half-conscious state because we have all of these the subconscious programming that's running us. And we need to get in touch with whatever it is, wherever those incidents are that we made decisions about ourselves that we're living from subconsciously, and resolving them. And I look at life in two, it's kind of a dualistic sort of way of looking at things. I look at things that we have this primitive part of us that's programmed, it's fear based, that's running us most of the time. And then we have this other part, the spiritual part, that's coming from love and wisdom and trust and joy and deservingness and purposefulness and all of that. So we've got to get to the point where we're in communication with the fear based part, but it's not running us.
Yeah.
We've got to find out what's going on so that we can really live from that spiritual, higher consciousness place. So that's like the real basics of what I teach.
that's awesome. That is awesome. So, all right. So your intentions for people taking your course is to come out what?
I'm sorry.
Like,
I know I can say this to you guys because you're funny. I was going to say happy and, singing and
We're
dancing
all
and,
not happy at all
yeah,
here.
skipping,
sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows
lollipops, yeah,
everywhere.
unicorns. Yeah,
Gina sings and I dance.
yeah. My goal, there's a lot of goals, but the big one is really discovering who you really are underneath all of the inauthentic layers that we're living life from. Being authentic, being human, but also spiritual at the same time, joining those two, integrating those two, so that you can go through whatever you go through and kind of be able to see both parts almost immediately. So you're able to see what your fear-based programmed part is saying, and then I give people tools to kind of resolve that stuff, and then you can focus in on what your higher consciousness is really saying and what the meaning behind it is. What am I supposed to learn from this? Because the only reason we keep coming back here is that we haven't learned what we're supposed to learn. And, that's why we just keep on returning.
I I agree with
Do
that.
you think, I'm going to put this one in your shiny cat moment, do you think that like sometimes we come back because we choose to, not because we haven't learned our lesson? Hello, baby.
Yes.
Not because we haven't learned our lesson, but because we choose to come back and either help out or learn more, or for whatever reason we choose to come back.
Yes. In fact, everything is a choice. We're never forced to come back, but it is a choice. And we make that choice from a higher consciousness place of what did I not do the last time that I was supposed to do? In my life, it was, okay, Royce, you're supposed to be teaching, and you're supposed to be writing these books, and I didn't do it for the last 20 or 30 lifetimes, and here I am. But it was a conscious choice to do that. So yeah, but there does reach a point where you've evolved to a certain level where you can just say, you know what, I've cleaned everything up. I'm just going to come back and help. I'm just going to be that, that wonderful Gandhi person this lifetime, and and just be the pure higher self person that I'm here to be. So yeah, definitely. But it's all a choice. Everything is a choice. We choose our parents, we choose our physical body situation, we choose our lessons to learn, we choose everything, And yeah, some of our choices are kind of bizarre, but we chose them.
Me and Mama were talking about that the other day. We were talking about our children. And one of my children in particular, whose birthday it is today. And she said,
happy birthday.
yeah, my baby, she's 36, I think now.
But who's counting?
Yeah, who's counting? Math, not my strong suit at the moment.
She's 16.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, she's 16. Well, I was 32 for the longest time. You asked them how old I was, and I'd tell you I was 32. That was funny. Until they started getting up there, and teenagers. I'm like, I'm not 32 anymore. I haven't been for a while. But we were saying, to get off that shiny ball, that she came back and she goes, well, she chose you, because I was saying that we're so much alike that we clash at points. Okay. Mm-hmm. And she goes, Mama says to me, well, she chose you. And she goes, or unless she chose your husband. I said, well, they get along beautifully. So I think she chose Paul. Because
she chose both. It was both. Yeah. For different reasons. Yeah.
Right.
We've got just a quick one. We have somebody in the YouTube chat room. So then I'm gonna crucify your name, and I'm terribly sorry. Denicia Darling, I got that one, not a problem. She says, what about people, let's put that one up on the thing. What about people who do the things that the majority of us would consider to be horrible acts, whom do not see any repercussions, karma, because they don't see their acts as bad?
I know who's asking me that question. Hi, Lynette.
Well, not Denicia.
Yeah, that's her.
Lynette would have been so much simpler to say.
I know, really.
But I like the idea that she's got a different name.
Yeah, the reason for that is that everybody knows on a higher consciousness level when we've caused pain or loss. We just know it. We can pretend like we don't. We can act like we don't. But eventually karma is going to catch up with you. Eventually it's going to say, when you did that thing, it might not happen instantly. It might not happen for 10 lifetimes, but eventually it's going to catch up, because you can't lie to your spirit, you just can't.
That's right. That's right. And then again, yes, once you're done and you get it all done, then you can make your choices from there. You can start fresh. You can start new. I had another question, but Lynette has another question. Darling. She has another question in the chat room. She says, they do evil work in the world and get away with it, and maybe in the next life see only peaceful existence. What does that say about the nature of karma? Well, I don't think that they do. In their mind, maybe, as they're committing these acts, they think they do. But in the karmic world and in the, the ley lines that are going through the whole universe, does not agree with that situation. And it will let her know or him know that those acts are wrong.
Exactly, because karma doesn't work to the way we want it to. It has its own timeline, and as a lot of the evil and stupid ass things, that people are doing in this lifetime might be something that they have to do, unfortunately, for us other people to learn a lesson.
I was just going to say that, that they might have chosen a lifetime to be the bad guy for us to wake up. There's a lot of people right now that I could point fingers at and go, yeah, that one's doing a good job. So, yeah. Oh, no, no, no. Somebody bigger.
Yeah, no, someone like leaving the country bigger.
Yeah, somebody that's really in the country bigger. Yeah.
Yeah,
That we all need this massive lesson, and we all need to see some really gnarly,
well,
dark mirrors about ourselves that we don't want to look at. So there we go, you know?
yeah. All right, your teachings, because that I want to get to the mirror.
Mirrors
I
again.
really do, but I want to do this in sequential order, because we're going to talk about your e-course, okay? And I have your e-course as like session 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, session 1 has 3 parts. What are those 3 parts?
I refer to those 3 parts as the lower self, the middle self, and the higher self. And the lower self is what I was describing before, that kind of fear-based, primitive, good versus bad, fear-based consciousness that operates from a programmed place. And it's very loud, and usually we're living from that place whether we know it or not. And never in a million years would I ever think that I was living from fear. I was one of these people that said, what? I don't have any fear. I'm fine. I can get on an airplane. I can do things, but I discovered that some of those fears were really subtle, fear of making a commitment, or fear of change, or fear of,
Unknown.
love,
Yeah, look,
fear of being in a relationship.
yeah.
Yeah, they were really deep. And then the second part that I talk about, I refer to as the middle self, and that's the logic part of us. That's the part that kind of tries to figure everything out and tries to make sure that we're appropriate and, socially acceptable, all of that. And then the third part is the higher consciousness that I was talking about before, who we really are, the spiritual aspect of who we are. So I go into a lot of details about that, and I talk about how they work together, and how to access them, and what they sound like, and how you can start communicating with them. So I get into all of that in the e-course.
And that's awesome. Now, how do people join the course, and how do you connect with people? Is it like Zoom, or are you all seeing each other, or is it more of a one-on-one? How does that work?
Well, there's 2 different ways. The first way is just doing it online by yourself. So I kind of talk you through it. There's, modules and various slides and information, and then they kind of go through the 5-week thing by themselves, and they can contact me and ask for, answer questions or whatever they need. But the one that's more in person is, yes, it's done by Zoom. And there's a lot of interaction, just like it used to be back in the old days, back in my center, people actually real.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so it's wonderful. I personally think that way is so much more powerful, because you're face to face with people, and you hear their sharing, you hear their questions, and you can interact with me right then in real time. So I really hope that people sign up for that. Bring your friends, have a party.
No, well, that's something. But now,
Yeah.
okay, well, you have like all these different sessions. Now, how long do these sessions usually last?
Well, the real session, the Zoom sessions, they're about 2 hours each. So, and it's once a week, and it also includes a guided inner process journey meditation. I don't like to just call it a meditation, because it's really an inner working journey that we do, where I teach people how to get in touch with the lower part of their consciousness and the higher part, so that they can resolve and release some of that old programmed stuff, and they can get in touch with their spirit and their soul and find out what it's trying to say. So we do a real, a balance of the two a lot.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so now we talked about session 1, and now session 2, how the mind gets programmed. What is that all about?
That's kind of what I was saying before, that there are specific incidents that cause us to make decisions about ourselves. So if I'm walking down the street and somebody hits me on the head with a baseball bat, I make a decision that, men are jerks, and I cause men to be violent. Or, if it's a woman, can't trust women. I hate to sound sexist here. so during those
It's
moments,
true. So true. You can't trust us.
you can't.
Cannot trust
People with
gingers.
baseball
There you go.
Right. Especially with baseball bats.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So we take a look at those. I call those decision forming incidents. And I talk a lot about what happens from them and the programming that we buy into and the decisions that we make about self and life and others. We make these broad general decisions. And we then live our life from that point on with those decisions. And those decisions can happen as far back as obviously past lives, but if you're just looking at this life, it can happen at conception and pregnancy and birth experience. I mean, they happen really, really early on. And we're usually not conscious of them. In fact, never conscious of them until we go into the inner work that I do so that people can release those and resolve those.
Perfect. Well, I just put up your link here, www.perfectlifeawakening.com. Is that where they can sign up for that course?
Yes. And it's also roycemorales.com. It's both. But yeah, it's all there. It should be on the page that talks about Empower Your Life, which I think is the second page. There's little things that you can click on and join in.
Yeah. So these are, when you go there, you'll see it'll be set up kind of like this. You'll see the first purple logo on the top of the page, and you'll go through and you can see all these things. And she's got all her books are listed there too. We're going to be talking about those shortly, all right? But I still want to stay on the e-course for now. So Jojo asked what night or what day. Do you have a specific day that you do these classes?
Well, right now I'm kind of waiting for enough people to sign up. So as soon as I get enough people to sign up, I kind of have to juggle, various time zones because I'm in California. So, we'll get started and figure it out. So contact me, Jojo.
Yeah, so you talk to her personally first because she gets to know you. And then
yes,
and she'll know you. She'll know you by talking to you. And JoJo's like an open book. She pours things right out there, and I think she'd benefit a lot by talking with you.
Awesome. Can't wait.
All right, so we did session 1, session 2. Now session 3 is reconnecting to your inner wisdom.
Yes. And that's where I get into talking about your spiritual wisdom and who you really are and what that part of you is trying to tell you all the time, and just who we are as a spiritual being. We have a purpose here that a lot of us have suppressed or forgotten or ignored. And we walk around and we're upset and we're angry and we're sad and we don't know why. And a lot of it is because we're just not doing what we're supposed to be doing here. Darn it. And once you do, what did you say?
You're highly empathic.
Yes. Yeah. So it's all about discovering that part of you and allowing that part of you to flourish and wake up and start communicating with you and, give you a craggy finger once in a while. But yeah.
That's
a craggy finger?
Craggy. Haven't you heard that expression?
Oh, no.
Craggy
finger. I'm Canadian.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's from Canada. She doesn't get it.
Oh, yeah. These Canadians.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to take my sandbox and go.
You stay put. Okay. Now that's all right. So that was session 3. Session 4. Now this is the big one. All right.
Yes.
This is the facing the mirror. All right. Nobody wants to look in a mirror and point the finger at it and say you're the problem. Nobody.
Nobody.
Right.
Even students I've had for 20 years. As soon as I say, have you looked at the mirror about that?
I know that's like a 4-letter word or something,
Yeah, it really is. It's hard. It really is. But the good part is that once you look at the mirror, things can start to shift and you can start to not be so pissed off, I mean, every day when I listen to the news, it's like, oh my God. But the minute I'm able to say, okay, what is this a mirror of for me? And I start asking those questions and I start delving inside a little bit, the anger just lifts and I'm able to see it as a gift and I'm able to see it as helping me grow. So yeah, I mean, I always tell my students this, and it sounds kind of morbid, but what I want on my headstone hear this world, what I want on my headstone or my whatever container when I die with my ashes in it. They understood the mirror.
There you go.
That's what I want.
That would be, I mean, I'm telling you, I would jump on that bandwagon because I've been saying that for years. No one wants to point the finger in the mirror and say they had to point the finger to everyone else.
Yeah.
But I also read a little tidbit that, and I'm not going to put it right, but when you see something in someone that you don't like or that they're doing that you don't like, it's something, that you don't like in yourself, and I don't know if you can explain that better. But that's a mirror thing as well. And
That's
those
a
are
mirror thing.
yeah, and those are the things that we're trying to look at. Bless you. Oh, and she didn't even mute. She
No,
she
I couldn't get the right mouse in time. But luckily, there was no sound. Sorry.
I wonder if I have that here. Let's see.
But I think the mirror, I'm just going to go a little bit section here. The mirror thing, everybody is afraid of it. Like, it's like it's like when you talk to somebody, it's hard. People don't look at each other in the eyes anymore. There was a thing on YouTube or something, I can't remember where this man was sitting down, or this woman was sitting down, and people would just come in and sit, and they would stare at each other in the eyes for like I did. Doesn't look like it. For a couple of minutes, and most people started to cry. Didn't know why. They never said a word to each other. They just started to cry, or there was like such an emotional rush. So it's the same thing for me. Looking in the mirror, you sit there and you look at yourself. You don't even have to verbalize the question, but because you're kind of gonna ask a whole bunch of questions in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
I can't find the right wording that I want to say about that. But it is true. It's like people will get pissed off at other people for doing something and say, well, they did this and they did that and they did this. And it's like, hello, but you do that all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
I see you. You did that like 10 minutes ago. This person cannot do it.
Right.
It's like, wow. And they really just don't understand that or don't see that or, like,
It's hard.
thinking, do I do that?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
that is, that's a huge part of that.
It is. Yeah. There's a great expression. I don't know who said it, but the expression is, you spot it, you got it, or you've got one finger pointing that way, you've got three pointing back at you. But yeah, they're showing us the aspects of ourselves that we have hidden so well sometimes, or aspects that show up in different ways. Like, for example, I had a student one time that was dating a man who was a serious addict. I mean, we're talking heroin, that kind of addict. And it used to drive her crazy because, she loved the guy. And she found, we used to work on this for months. And I kept saying to her, well, there must be a mirror there because it's driving you crazy. Until eventually we did some really deep inner work, and she discovered that she had a lot of addictiveness in her, but it just was showing up in different ways, and it stemmed way back, and she had been suppressing it and denying it. And he was just, showing up in her life as this magnification of this part of her that she was in complete denial of. So, whatever it takes, if we have this much anger and we're just not willing to look at it, we might attract huge blow-ups around us just to get us to wake up and go, hey, there it is.
Exactly. So, well, there are different personality types, and an addictive personality can be anything. I mean, someone will say, oh, I'm an addict. Well, yeah, it could be drugs, it could be heroin, it could be bad things like that, but it could be sex, it could be books, it could be animals, it could be whatever.
Foxes.
You're a hoarder. Foxes, all right. I do have an addictive personality. I am that. I have had problems with alcohol, problems with drugs in my past. I've had problems with all that stuff. And then I realized I have an addictive personality. I do, I went to AA, I did the 12 steps, I learned a hell of a lot. And I think a lot of people in their everyday life, not even being an alcoholic, should at least read the 12 steps, because they are great guides and great rules to live a good, clean life, and keep your conscience clean, and it's got gratitude lists in there and everything too, so, it's, you have to do a lot of work. it's a lot of inner work.
But that's what a lot of people are afraid of, is that work that they have to do on
Well, if
themselves.
you're gonna sign up with Royce, be prepared to work, because she will make
Yes.
you work. Okay? Because she
See
wants.
the shovel.
Yes, exactly. So it's not it's not for the, well, I think I might want to do this, but I don't know. No, no. If you're even thinking about it, you're considering it. You know, and it's a follow through thing. And if you do it, it seems like she's got it down really well here, breaking it up into parts. You're figuring these things out step by step by step, slowly, but enough you dig it, and you're going to get to the root. It's going to keep you coming back to get to the real root, and whether that's an addictive personality for you or not, anybody out there, hey, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them in the universe, and I am one, So now my addictive personality is turned to foxes and
And doing great podcasts.
And crazy co-hosts.
Yeah.
goes. I try to get as much information out there as I possibly can. That's my thing. That's what I do.
That's great.
Yeah. But like I said, so that was session 4 of the mirror, and I've been dying to talk about that. We'll probably talk about that again before the show is over, because I think that's awesome. All right, and then you have session 5, and this is the big one. This is the big one for like AA too, is the freedom from guilt. Now, this is huge because, what keeps you doing something over and over again? What keeps you in that insanity, which is repeating the same thing over and over again, expecting different results? Guilt, shame, fear, remorse, all those things, right? They will keep you down. So what do you do to release all this guilt?
Well,
you're asking me to go to the punchline of all my class.
Gina reads the
this is the culmination. This is the culmination of what's going to happen. So this is why this is why the people want to take the course.
Yeah, and I talk about. Well, let's go back a little step here. I talk about how we get programmed during pain and loss, experiences of somebody hitting us on the head with a baseball bat. But then I take it one step further, which nobody likes either. And I talk about, well, where did you hit somebody on the head first with a baseball bat? Where is your responsibility here? And that's the final dig. That's the big shovelful that I ask people to do, because when you locate those incidents and you feel them and you get in touch with them and you see what you decided about yourself and you see what the pain is that you've caused, you can clean it up. You can resolve it. You can move past it. It's all the subconscious baggage that we're carrying around of all the stuff that we've done that, it lowers our deservingness. It causes our health to be affected. It causes everything in our life. And that's where the real work is, but really nobody likes that. They hate mirrors, but they hate this even more. So sorry.
I have a question. When you say like we have to ask ourselves, where did we use that baseball bat before? Does it always mean that you've used it on someone else? Can it mean that you've done it to yourself?
Yes.
But you just don't admit it?
Yes. That's a really good point. And a lot of times, that goes even deeper. Where am I doing it to myself? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So that's,
and I think that's probably the hardest.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. All right. I am going to put up the picture of your books here. Okay. Which is the one that came out first?
Want is the first one.
Okay. So want. Talk about want.
Well, if you're into past lives and want to know more, this is a fictionalized, and I say it in quotes, fictionalized journey of a spiritual teacher who discovers her soulmate, and how she recognized him as her soulmate was sudden feelings of past life memories that started to engulf her life. This person literally walked into her class. I'm changing it into her because to protect the innocent, of course. But this person walked into her class, and the first time she met him, she literally saw an image of a Native American, like a clear image over his head. And she was like, what? You know, I mean, the spiritual teacher had a lot of past life work, and she had a lot of intuitive experiences, and bizarre things happened to her, but nothing like that. And it just wouldn't go away. And it just kind of evolves from there. And it talks about, you know, where did this soulmate relationship come from? What is soulmate relationship? What is it really about? You know, is it walking arm in arm off into the sunset? No. It's a soul connection that needed to be explored so that she could find out who she really was and he could find out who he really was. And it really had nothing to do with anything romantic. So it's quite a journey, and it goes into a ton of past lives and a ton of very bizarre experiences that she took very good notes on when she was going through it. And it's quite intriguing. You know, meanwhile, of course, she's very happily married, and so is he. So yeah, it's very, very interesting. Yeah, it talks a lot about the teachings that I present, but I do it in kind of a, you know, a real life experiential story format.
Awesome.
Okay. So, just a quick question. A soulmate doesn't mean the person that you end up with. Example, I'm going to use me as an example. I'm married to a man, and I love him with all my heart, but I run into some guy along the street, and there's just, you know that there's an odd connection. You sit there and have conversations, you finish each other's sentences, and there's that draw. You're not married. There's not going to be any interaction in social sexual connection or anything like that, but you just know that this person is
Just
your
know.
soulmate.
That's the key.
Yeah.
You just know. Yeah.
By the way,
And
it's not happened to me, but just in case my kids watch this afterwards.
If this
But
if that happens to people, you know.
yeah.
Mm.
And I think the funny part about it for me, again, her, is that she really didn't believe in the whole notion of past lives, or I'm sorry, of soulmates and past lives, actually, but that's a whole other story. But yeah, she thought the whole thing was ridiculous. You know, she was very skeptical. Skeptic is my middle name, by the way. I have to really
That's good.
experience something for me to believe it. You know, it
Mm.
has to be like right there for me, and it has to have result. So it's a good. I love that quality about myself. But anyway, I didn't believe in soulmates, and then this person just arrived and just shot that notion to hell.
Jojo in
So
the chat
yeah.
room says, "Is it true that you can have more than one soulmate?"
I think
No,
so.
there is only one, but there's lots of different soul relationships. You know, there's twin souls and there's
Twin
soul
flame.
families,
Yeah.
soul sisters, all that stuff.
Oh,
But yeah,
yes.
there is only one soul mate. Yeah,
I mean, some people can go their whole lives and never find them, but
right.
and settle, because they don't want to be alone. And then again, that's the fear of being alone,
Yep.
fear of rejection, fear of this, fear is a binding factor in the whole universe. We have
It
to get
is.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so then did no come next?
No came next. Yes.
Okay.
No, a spiritual wake up call. That's a
It's
book
not
that,
no, just for the people that are just listening. It's not N-O, no. It's
yeah,
K-N-O-W, knowing.
yes,
No. Okay, go ahead. Proceed.
that's okay. If you can see me, you can see that my arm was twisted. Ouch. To write that book because, again, I used to teach small groups, and I felt it was just so important to have enough intimacy and enough connection with each individual so that I could make sure that people were understanding the concepts and they weren't abusing the information and they weren't, you know, flipping out somewhere. So after teaching for, I don't know, 30 years, and people bugging me and saying, you really should write a book, I finally said, all right, I'll write a book. But you know, I still hesitate. It has so much information in it, but it's also written as kind of an interaction. So at the end of each chapter, you can kind of do a little inner work, a little, you know, homework, a little observation work, so that you can really start to apply the information. But I don't think there's anything that compares with doing it in person. I really
Yeah.
don't. But it's great. It has a lot of stories, a lot of examples. Yeah, it's really fun.
So would you suggest then that people, to get that book, actually maybe do that book as a precursor to your e-course?
They could. They could. All the information is in there. But either way, whatever works, if somebody really gets a lot of value from books, or when I first started understanding spirituality, I read a lot of books and they were very valuable. But now it's like, no, I want the real thing.
Yeah.
So whatever works.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me get back there. Okay. And then we have, this is a very personal thing, back, rebirth after stroke. In that book, that's got real powerful meaning for you.
It does. My wonderful, very healthy 57-year-old husband and business partner and muse and enlightened partner in life suddenly had a stroke. It was totally unexpected. We're vegetarians, we're healthy, we're holistic. And he just had this stroke and it was completely debilitating. He ended up in the hospital emergency room. He couldn't walk, he couldn't talk. And I sat by his side for over 6 weeks, never left him, and just started posting little snippets about what I was going through on Facebook. Um, and I had a lot of followers that would make comments or, offer support or send me little hearts or, what people do on Facebook. And it got me through that 6 weeks. But at the end of the 6 weeks, I had several people say to me, gosh, Royce, you should turn this into a book, because what I was writing on Facebook was not just, he got up and ate breakfast and couldn't move his arm. I was talking as a spiritual teacher. I was looking at every experience as a mirror for me. What do I need to learn from this? Why is this going on in my life? What is the karmic implication of this? So, and I shared it. It was a very raw, open-hearted, authentic sharing. So when I got home from the hospital and was taken care of and full-time caregiver, I started writing and adding to it. And every day there was another chapter that would emerge. And so it's kind of like that. But I found a lot of people have said to me, it's not just about going through a stroke with somebody. It's going through any kind of a traumatic event. There was so much value in what I was saying because I was living it, that people were just eating it up. So yeah, if you're going through any kind of a trauma or life-changing experience, I highly recommend reading it.
Yeah, and who really doesn't nowadays? There's so many things going on, and even people dealing with COVID. The loss of people with COVID. Cancers. Anything that's big. Like I was telling you, my sister had the stroke. She's had heart attacks. My dad's had heart attacks. My brother with his brain tumor. I mean, there's always someone's always got something going on. And it's great to have a support system. It's great to have something that you can read that people relate to what you're going through, so you're not alone. Even though you're not alone, again, it's like that thing, show it to me, let me see it in black and white, then I can feel it, and then, and I appreciate it.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I definitely can understand that aspect of it. But how long ago was that he had a stroke?
It's been 5.5 years. Yeah.
And is he going to be improving more? Like now, you said he's walking some, and
he's motioning from behind the camera.
Hi. Hi. We're praying for you.
Thank you. Yeah, some of the people that we've met in our little journey of strokes at various rehab hospitals that I take them to. They say that you can improve for 20 years, to never give up. And I think that's really the message behind that book, because there were so many times I just wanted to throw my hands up and go, forget it. But we would see people and they'd say, look, I was just like him 5 years ago. So here I am, just don't give up. So right. Yeah, it's really something though, but strokes, oh boy.
I know. It's hard enough for the people that are going through it, the person actually having the stroke, but the one that has to be the caregiver and the one that, this is the love of your life, that was perfectly fine, my husband passed away. He was fine. And, the next morning he's gone. It's like, whoa,
Sorry.
yeah, it happened, it's tough. It's a hard situation. It changes you dramatically. So, I mean, thank God you still have them, you know? So you always got
I
to,
say that every day
yeah, so you got to,
because he's in there.
yeah, and I waved mine up in heaven, and well, he taps me on the shoulder here and there, I do paranormal
2x4 upside her head, more like it.
sometimes.
He's the one. He's the one with the baseball bat.
Oh no,
Yeah. He knocked things over. He used to knock things over in my garage.
really?
And bang on pans and things. It sounded like pots and pans going off. If you want me to
That's
talk
great.
another story, but yeah.
That's great though. That really, yeah, I have a lot of people that have passed in my life that still make themselves very known to me in very bizarre ways. So yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Well, you said you're a channeler. Now, who and how and what do you channel?
I used to be a channeler. I was trained in it, but I found that it was kind of disempowering for people. I would give them information and they would go, "Oh, wow, yes, thank you very much." But they wouldn't get their own information. They wouldn't learn to trust themselves. You're laughing.
Sorry. This JoJo said something in the chat room. I'm gonna shut up.
Oh, God, I see. I can't see the text over
Yeah,
here.
you don't
That's
want to see that one.
okay.
Yes, she does.
Yeah, JoJo's funny. Oh my God. Yeah, Bob would have an
But
issue
yeah,
with that, JoJo.
Okay, the comment okay, for those people who are listening on the audio and for voice, the comment in the chat room was a threesome with Bob and her husband. She's ghost sex. Okay,
Oh my God.
we don't talk about the incubus succubus.
anyway, again, so I don't channel
Bob's
anymore,
laughing.
but
Bob's stunned.
that's okay. So I don't, back to what I was saying, I don't channel anymore, but I trust my higher wisdom. I trust my spirit to tell me what I should or shouldn't say. And it's, it comes through all the time. I'm aware of spirits, and if they are supposed to come through me, I allow that. But usually it's, not really that much of an important part of my life anymore. I found that I would be doing these readings for people and I'd go, "Well, your Uncle Joe is here and he says, make sure to add, water to your car." And, I'd get all these very mundane things. And they'd go, "Okay, wow, gosh, how did you know that?" And then I would start to get really profound things and they'd kind of look at me blankly. So it just wasn't the right fit for me because it's not what I'm here to do. Let's just leave it at that. Yeah.
But then again, you had to do that to get to where you are.
Yep.
As
Yes,
many
exactly.
people, so many people want to get things like, I want to be a medium, I want to be a psychic, I want to, but they
Right.
got to start somewhere. For you to learn everything that you had to learn to teach, you had to learn it, you had to go through it. So channeling was just one of the things that you had to do to get to.
It was a
Definitely.
really important,
Yeah,
it was a really
huge
important step.
process. Yeah, huge process. I mean, years you went through this. All the training that you did, all the different things that you've tried. Like I said, what do you call that? Spiritual bypass. Those people.
Yeah.
Had to learn all that too, to know that that's not what she wants. It's like no. I want the real deal here. And
Yes.
I believe that in my soul. That's what you're trying to get through to people and trying to teach them.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
they can have that for themselves.
Yes. Because
So,
we can channel the most important person to channel is yourself. So, that's what we're here to do. Get in touch with that higher self, that spirit of us,
yeah.
and listen to it.
Yeah. Because usually, it's nagging, it's tapping you on your shoulder and you're saying, go away, go away. I know this is right, but I'm doing this right now and just leave me alone because I'm going to do this even though I know it's wrong. It's like,
Yeah. Well, that's actually That's how I learned the best. Unfortunately, I am the pie in the face kind of learner. Unless I get it in my face, I don't listen. I do now, but I certainly didn't used to. But, it had to hit me in the face. And most of the time, if I didn't listen, I would find out why I should have. And that was the best teaching for me. It's like, oh, I didn't turn left and now I'm sitting in the middle of traffic. Oh, I should have listened. So it's
Oh,
that kind of thing.
yep. I do that a lot driving too, and that's a big thing. Chris grounds himself when he channels. Did you ever have a scary experience?
I
Chris is
have never had a scary, never
Chris
had a
is my
scary
partner.
experience.
Yeah.
Never had a scary experience because I just don't attract that. Yeah, my husband is looking at me going, huh? No, I can't remember having a scary experience. This is when talking would come in handy and he'd be able to say, no, don't you remember this? But
Yeah.
he's still not able to talk. But yeah, no, I don't recall having anything scary during a channeling experience. I will ponder that question, Jojo, but nothing's coming to mind.
But the
Awesome.
thing is, if your husband's kind of going, then maybe he
Yeah,
remembers
he
something
remembers
which you
something.
sort of don't.
Right,
And
maybe,
eventually
yes.
he'll give you that baseball bat upside your head at one point going, this is what happened. Just because he
Well,
can't
I'll
talk
tell you
doesn't
what,
make it figure out a way to get through it.
I'll give you 3 minutes. I'll give you 3 minutes to try and get it out of him.
Okay.
I'm gonna play an ad that is about 3 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
We'll be right back right after this ad. The Fox Den is now proudly sponsored by Vortex Ghost Gear, one of the leading fabricators of paranormal equipment. Bob Christopher is the founder and creator of Vortex Ghost Gear. He has decades of investigating, starting with his team at NEPA, and as lead in the popular local TV show Ghost Detectives, he has experience of how spirits could be seen or heard. Using this knowledge, he has manufactured equipment for specific scenarios of spirit manifestation and communication. He is the only manufacturer of the popular lifelike trigger prop cats and dogs. Using proximity meters wired to lights and sound, these prove to be highly effective communication devices in the field of study. The HTO, another Vortex exclusive, allowing specific items to be the highlight or trigger of your investigation. For example, place the item on a metal tray or attach directly to any metal object such as keys or glasses that continue to go missing or moved. Ask the spirit to touch the item. The HTO will light. It has a sound option as well. This device was used in Travel Channel's Ghost Nation with great results. The Dome, a static detector, can be the most useful device in your gear bag. This is to back up the theory that the spirits manifest using static electricity. Using several, you can track a spirit, for example, walking down a hallway, setting off each as it passes. The Geophone detects vibrations. This is another way to track movement. If a claim is footsteps in the hallway or stairwell, set the sensitivity and place the device in that area. Its band of lights will show a range of vibrations from the slightest tapping, lighting only a few lights, to the loudest thumping, lighting the entire range. The Easy Scan ghost boxes are very popular due to the ease of use. They are custom decorated to the individual or team using them. Bob programs and uses an Arduino-based computer scanning FM waves to potentially communicate with the spirit realm in real time. Every box is unique and all custom hand decorated by Gina Bankston. The V-Pod has a special place for those who love the idea of REM pods. Use this sleeker, smaller, easier to transport device. It is a must-have in your gear bag. Take your investigating to the next level with many of Vortex Ghost Gear's unique and custom creations by Bob Christopher. Visit www.vortexghostgear.com to view all the products and get your equipment today. You can also investigate with Bob and Gina with ghostly excursions, taking people to some of the most haunted locations in the USA. Visit www.ghostlyexcursions.com and join us on our next adventure. And we're back. And we are here again with Royce Morales. And if you have been watching since the beginning, let me just throw up a couple of her links here. Where you can reach her is her website, www.perfectlifeawakening.com, roycemorales.com. Perfect Life Awakening, if you type that in on Facebook, you can find her. Also LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, all under Royce Morales. And so she's everywhere.
Everywhere.
Mhm.
And
And the links are in the, for those of you who are in the chat room, the links are in the chat room to her Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and I'm putting in her.
yeah,
You froze for a second. I didn't hear what you said. I'm sorry.
oh, she's going to be posting the links in the chat room. They're
Oh,
all
okay.
there. We'll be posting them again. So all you have to do is click on them in the chat room, and you're golden. You're up
Great.
and running.
Thank
Let's see. Oh,
So that
I'm sorry. I'm looking at some of these things in the chat room about that ghostly encounters. We could put. All right, so she's putting all those things up there. All right. Okay, so nothing that we have to post up here. If you people in the chat room that are still with us, you want to have your question put up here, just feel free. Any kind of question about Royce, what she does, how to get in touch with her again, anything. All right, anything personally, whatever. But
I have a question.
okay.
Of everything that you've done, that we've spoken of so far, is there anything that you want to go a little further on? Like,
Yes.
do you have, good.
Actually, I was just thinking about that. Thank you. We're just so attuned here. I was thinking that my personal story about getting in touch with a past life might be something that'd be really interesting to your listeners, because I mentioned before that I was Ms. Skeptic, and you had to show me, what's the state, the show me state. That's me. And I was, like I mentioned before, I was involved in a spiritual organization that didn't believe in past lives. And here I was starting to think, oh, that doesn't sound right to me. That really sounds crazy. But the whole idea of past lives also sounded crazy. I used to argue with people about it. I'd say, oh, that just sounds like such a crock because you're just afraid of death. So you make up this whole idea about coming back so you don't have to deal with your fear of death. I mean, I would say this to people all the time. Anybody that would listen, that's how skeptical I was. So there I was in my little spiritual organization, and we were meditating. And all of a sudden, I saw an image of a woman drinking poison. And not only was it an image, it was a physical sensation. I literally felt the poison going down my throat. It was burning, and it was like, ouch,
Wow.
really painful. And I looked at this image, and I knew that she was killing herself, and I didn't know why, but I just knew that it was a horrible, tragic lifetime where she had to kill herself. And I opened my eyes from meditation, and I shared it with my teacher, who didn't believe in past lives. And she kind of, poo-pooed the whole thing away and said, oh, you must have been channeling that for somebody. And I'm like, I don't think so. It didn't feel like anything I was channeling. It felt like it was mine. But the interesting thing that happened from it was I had a chronic stomach condition. I had one of those stomachs that was always upset. And if I was nervous, I would get diarrhea, and I was like constantly have indigestion. Yeah. And as soon as I saw that image and I kind of thought about it for a while, I said, oh, and literally the stomach problem went away.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't had it since. It's been gone. So it's that kind of thing that, again, just radically changed my attitude because it worked. So that's when I started kind of pulling away from that group and, teaching the people that arrived in my living room that, maybe there's something more to look at here. And eventually it evolved into the work that I do now, which, seeing your past life can not only heal you physically, it can shift a relationship that's having problems. I can't even tell you how many times I've looked at stuff from past lives and had the relationship with my husband shift completely. And he didn't do a thing, It's like he's getting all the benefit and I'm doing all the work, right?
And isn't that the way it always is between husband and
Yeah,
wives?
he's man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spoiled brats.
I mean,
Yeah.
especially if it's inner work, yeah. Because
Yeah.
Yeah.
guys
Yeah.
don't think like that. Guys
Yes.
don't do that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Darian Relier is in the chat room, and she says, "Oh my God, I just remembered a vision or a dream or something that I had years ago." Now, let me just give you a little backstory on Darian. She was a guest on our show. She is a fantastic author of a series of books about dragons and warriors and this whole mystique behind them and this whole universe. So when she says that, I just remembered a dream or something. I
Yeah.
would love if you could visit someone's dreams like ever.
Go
I
visit
would want to
hers.
visit hers. I'm not even kidding. I mean, if that was a thing that we could do, I think there was a movie on that.
You
And it's
can.
go into someone's brain. I would love to dive into Darian's brain, you know, because I do believe she was in that universe. She writes it so well, so
Yeah.
perfectly that I just can't see it any other way that she wasn't there, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
So
And
when
the thing is, you know that her books that she wrote,
I have a
when she was on the show,
room right
it's
there.
yeah, we all have. You know, like for some people, when they, in my mind, okay, I'm not 100% sure, but people don't always remember everything they wrote in a book. But this woman can give you details that are in the book to this day, and I don't know how many years ago she wrote it. So it's like, that's it's things that you've lived through. Like for you, that the books that you've written are things that you've lived through, or you know that it's a deep connection. These are things that you. It's not just like a scientific writer who doesn't know what they're just jotting
Yeah,
down words and don't remember them. This
yeah.
is like part of who you are, and that's what she
You,
does.
you read it and you just see the movie playing out, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
in full color. Like, not a B movie. This is a full screen, Hollywood silver screen movie, you know.
Oh,
Epic. And she just got done, I think, doing her audio. I think you're almost done, or you're close to being done on the first book doing audio. And her voice is like amazing too.
wow.
The accent. It sounds like a Scottish type accent, but she's like not Scottish.
Oh,
It's so weird. It's just like, oh my God, you'll just have to like watch the show that I
wow.
had with her before, and you'll see what I mean. But but talk about past lives. I think that's it. And I think sometimes it's really prevalent, that it comes out in our life like this, like you know, writing all these things and getting all this stuff. And like you said, your arm was twisted and, to write that book. And I do believe that is your ancestor pulling on you or, saying, hey, here's the pen, get going, start writing, right now.
Yeah.
you know,
Well, there's a great story about that too, that because I was resisting it so much, I'm not a writer. I really believe that about myself. If anything, I'm an artist, and I just thought writing, I just have me, as you can tell, that's kind of an ongoing pattern of my life. But I
kicking and
literally, what?
kicking and
What?
screaming.
kicking and screaming.
Yeah, kicking and screaming, exactly. Pie in the face, kicking and screaming. But I had started writing it, and I had written a few chapters, and this is my first book. And I was just like, for months, I was just ignoring it. I'm not a writer. I can't do it. And all of a sudden, one day, for no reason, I woke up and my hand wouldn't move. I mean, it was like frozen, painful frozen. And I sat down in meditation and I asked, okay, what's going on with my hand? And my higher consciousness said, it's because you're not writing. And I went, okay, but I can't write because my hand is hurting.
Huh.
So it convinced me to sit down at my computer, which I did, and it said, okay, start writing. And I literally started writing and the pain went away. So it's that kind of thing. Our higher consciousness and whoever else is out there is just, getting us to do what we're supposed to do. We just have to
Right.
listen.
Right.
So
She
you
said
did
you
that.
did
Oh,
that
that's
too.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Briefly, she said she saw a girl in a full skirt, tight bodice dress in a smoky inn or tavern, and she was serving. It was centuries ago and in Europe, somewhere in Europe somewhere. And as I was watching her, she turned to face me, and it was me.
Oh,
So that's pretty.
That's cool.
I just got chills
yeah,
by that. But
yeah.
that's really really interesting. Um,
And I think
Okay, I
just
got a
to add,
question about.
I need
Go
to
ahead.
write a book too, and
yeah,
skin has been driving me nuts lately.
yes.
I'm wondering.
But just
I have a book I started. It's over there. It's like, yeah, I started doing it gung ho for a little bit, and then just again.
craggy finger. There we go.
One of these days. One of these
Yes,
days.
drag your finger on, but be careful. I'll be messaging her every morning. Don't worry,
Yes,
I know now.
I know how. Did you write?
just
Did you write? Well,
right. Just
I'm
to
like
comment.
you, but I am like you. You know, it's like it's a thing that I want people to help themselves with. So it would be an interactive workbook type thing too.
I just want to make a little comment about what she just wrote and something I wanted to mention about past lives because a lot of people go to psychics and channelers and whatever to get their past life readings or whatever it is. And I really discourage people from doing that for a lot of reasons. But the main reason is it's like hearing a story. It's like, oh, that was nice that I was this woman in a, you know, in a tavern. That was a nice story. But to get in touch with it yourself and to really experience it, it becomes real and it becomes part of your DNA, so to speak. And you can resolve whatever it is that you're seeing just by remembering it or get the message from it or write the book because you're told to write the book back in 2000 AD. So or 200 AD as the case may be. But yeah, it's so important to get it and to not have somebody give it to you. Because then when you are looking for your own past lives, you think, oh, am I really getting in touch with a past life or am I seeing this because that psychic told me about it? So it kind of loses
Mm.
validity too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's a that's a fine line right there. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
people go to past life regression therapy for different reasons. You know, there are therapists, like clinical therapists, that can help you to get rid of fears and
Yes.
phobias and things like
Right.
that. Then there's regression therapy to find out about your past lives. You know, and I mean, so there are different things, and you're the big thing to do research before you do. You know, what is it? Ask yourself the questions. What do I want to know? You know, do I just want to know who I was in my past life? Is there a reason why I'm going through this in the past life? You know, is it just because it's a cool story and it's fun, it's something fun to talk about? You know, or do I want to figure out why it is I'm biting my nails all the time?
Yes.
Why it is, that I'm afraid of water, or why is it I'm afraid of heights? And like nothing ever happened in your life, and why are you afraid of heights?
Right, exactly. And I think people kind of evolve more and more. I know when I first started looking at past lives, it was fascinating. It was intriguing. It was like, wow, or how many people think they were Cleopatra in a past life.
Yeah.
But, you know, but once you get past that, wow, this is a cool story level, and you start to really look and you start to get the messages and release stuff that you've been carrying for thousands of years, it's a whole different level. It really is. And things start to shift immediately. So yeah, yeah. But I don't think we can get there by having somebody read our past lives and give us that information. I don't think that
Yeah.
works.
I think you got to dive. Yeah, you got to get into it. She says, I
Yeah.
would love to know who I was and research all of them. Well,
Yeah.
I think we all do. Do it.
Love
Do it.
to work
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do it. Yeah, I would like to work with you. I mean, this is something that, I mean, ultimately, the benefit is so far great because I just love your work ethic. You know, because I hate lazy people. And I think that you were working with lazy people at the beginning, and that's why they didn't work. And that's why you left that situation or that program or that, whatever it was that you were trying at the time. You'd leave it basically because they're lazy. They just want to give you a pat on the shoulder, collect their money and say bye-bye, but you're not doing that, right? You're not giving them a little pat on the head. Oh, good, good, good. Yeah, no,
No.
no. You wear that shovel proudly, right? Like I wear
Yes.
the box proudly. All right.
Yes. My shovel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that shovel thing. I have a question. Um,
Yes.
we're all talking about past lives. I have, I'm not sure if it was a memory or a dream, but of a past life, and I knew it was me, and I knew what I was going through in the dream. I'm going to call it a dream for lack of a better word. And I've never spoken to it to about it to anybody, but I spoke to a friend of mine, and this was a person that I just met, and we spoke on I think it was on Facebook, and I felt comfortable enough with this person to tell them the dream, and kind of figured it out that it was a past life that I was meeting that person in then, and that we connected again in this life. And then in the dream, that person disappeared from my life. And in this life, that person's disappeared from my life again. So that's something that that's something that I need to look into.
Yes.
So can you do a soul, can you know a soulmate in a past life that you couldn't connect with, that in this life it's the same thing that you cannot connect with?
Yeah. The soulmate relationship is really about readiness for both
Mm-hmm.
people. Yeah, and a lot of times the soulmate, like in my own experience, we connected, we learned what we were supposed to learn, we remembered who we were to each other, and then we said, okay, bye, see ya, see you next life, because we
Mm-hmm.
weren't ready. We weren't evolved enough. We hadn't cleaned up enough of our personal stuff to be able to actually be together. So, yeah, that happens a lot. It's not that pretty picture of walking arm in arm off into the sunset. It
Yeah.
really isn't. It's about soul growth like no other person is ever going to give you.
Yeah.
Right. I think there's been plenty of movies made like that too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That goes way back in time. Like I Shiny Ball. I adore those kinds of movies. Where people are going through time. And you see them reconnect, or the time traveler, the time traveler's wife, or whatever. Movies like that. I just find that so fascinating and so interesting.
Yeah.
We got JoJo says, when I arrived in New Orleans, I felt a strange connection here. Now she's from Massachusetts.
Yeah, that happens a lot. That's a lot of times that's indicative of a past life where you just kind of arrive somewhere and you just know you've been there before, or you feel a strong connection. I used to read, again, using my own life as an example, I used to incessantly read books about Native Americans when I was a child. My mom would take me to the library and I'd head straight to the Native American section. And when I started getting in touch with past lives, that was the first or second lifetime that I started to see. And I thought, oh, that's just because I used to read books about it. Well, it's why was I reading books about it? Why was I so
Mm-hmm.
drawn to that? Why did I desperately need to go to Italy as an adult? It was like something was calling me to go there, and it was past lives. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
I always said that I want to go to Italy before I die. Like if you ask me where is the place I want to go, it's Italy.
Me too. Yeah.
And then there's like Ireland and Scotland. I mean, because I want to see the castles, but I'd rather go the other side. There's castles over there too, but Italy
Yeah.
is it for me.
Yeah.
I'm a finished WAP. I've got family there. I'm finishing Italian. Still got some family up in Finland, and I still got some family over in Italy for now. So let's see. Same thing. Vikings for you. Yep. Yeah. So I'm a Viking. It's a neat thing. What was I going to say though? Shoot, I had something good to say about that.
Johnny Cat.
It'll come back. It'll come back to me.
I was going to say, talking about Italy, I had a lifetime in Italy that I had gotten in touch with where it's actually the same lifetime that I killed myself in. But when I started to explore it more, I found that I had been an artist in Italy in the Renaissance and was working for somebody. I was their apprentice. And in one of my meditations, I saw a very clear image of a painting. And this guy that was the master painter took credit for it. I never got any credit for it, even though I had actually painted it. But the funny part about the story is when we did go to Italy, I walked into some place and I saw that painting and I was like, oh my God, there's the
Oh,
painting
nice.
that I did. It was so bizarre, really a bizarre moment. It was like, oh, yeah. My husband understood, but I wouldn't have told anybody else there, but he understood.
I do remember what it was when you were saying that you were small and you were reading all the books. I used to like we had encyclopedias and all these other books, and I used to draw. So I would just like look for pictures, cool pictures to draw all the time. I was wicked drawn to Egypt, so like everything about Egypt and the pyramids and the hieroglyphs and the this and the that. And all of that was so fascinating to me. And I would draw all that kind of stuff until I saw like the pictures in the Sistine Chapel. And then I started looking at all the Renaissance era. And then then my art went from 0 to 500, in a minute. And then I got so drawn to Italy, So again, addictive personality coming out full force. But I think all these different places, I think that is maybe somewhere that we've lived, and spiritually, when we were always saying about trusting your instincts and your guides and your gut, foxes were a thing for me, rabbits were a thing for me. I started my interior design business, and I used to put bunnies and everything. Rabbits were a huge thing before the foxes, but the foxes dragged me into the spiritual realm, where the bunnies were getting me through what I needed to at the time. So everything happens for a reason at the time when you're ready. But trust them. Trust the instincts, because now a fox is a barrier between our realm and the spirit realm. They are on that border.
Can I just put something in here? I've never heard you say anything about Egypt before, but that sketch you drew of your being in your meditation.
Yep.
He always reminded me of Egypt, but I never figured it out why.
Yeah, that
and I still can't figure out why, but that focuses me to Egypt, and I was like, and until you just said it now, it's like, okay, there went the magnets connected together.
Maybe see, again, all things happen for a reason. We had to have Royce on for you to make that.
Jojo, foxes eat bunnies, not nice.
No, they don't. Not in my world. They're nice, and they cuddle, and they love each other. In my world. No.
Easter bunny gonna get you for that, Jojo.
God, but I mean, I do think that everything in our lives happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And hi, Rhonda. Welcome. Nice to see you, girl.
Hey, gorgeous.
Yeah.
I think good, bad, or otherwise, and a lot of people are going, well, you can't, what would the bad things happen for a reason? And again, it's like I said, for me, bad things happen for a reason, not for the person who's living the badness. Basically, it's kind of sort of like, I decided to smack you upside the head with a 2x4. Okay? It's not my learning, and it's not your learning. It's somebody else who's watching that had to learn something. So
and it could be all of the above.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So
the only
I
one
think
to be,
go ahead.
The only one to be concerned about is yourself, because it's so easy to kind of go off and, oh, well, maybe that happened for that person, but okay, what did I need to learn from it?
Exactly.
That's the mirror.
That mirror, yes, that darn mirror.
That's funny because I have one sitting right there.
Yeah, the mirror is key. It's always has been. People have been looking at the mirror. They've been scrying for centuries, looking in that mirror, trying to find the answers in the mirror. But they're looking beyond themselves even when they're looking in the mirror. It's like, look at yourself. It's okay,
Jojo. I was only kidding.
Scrying, but no. Look at what's directly in front in the mirror, right there.
Yeah, but it's tough. It really is, especially when the mirror gets huge and ugly.
And muddy and everything. But that's the way that you're going to get rid of it. And again, like you said, what makes your bottom? What makes it? What point do you have to hit? You finally said, I've had enough, and I need to clear this stuff up because my life has got to get better.
Yeah. And it can be so easy. I tell people, because people always ask me, well, how can you tell if somebody is your mirror? Well, does it push your button?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, it's a mirror, period. There is no doubt. It never is wrong. It's always accurate. So yeah.
And it's funny you're saying that a person can be your mirror. Example, a parent and a child. They could be so much alike that they are the mirror reflection, that they don't get along. That they don't get along. But some people will see will see like, that child is so much like me, And some people say, no, 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 that's not I am not like that. So I think
No,
that's, yeah.
Mhm.
So I think that's interesting that people have to, they don't always understand the mirror. And I think
oh
it's not
yeah,
because they don't understand it, it's because they're fighting the 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 knowledge that is them. That is what's pushing their
getting
buttons,
it.
is because, yeah. And I have some
Yeah.
people in my house, not you, Gina, in my household.
I find that the louder somebody protests and says, "That's not me,"
Hmm.
that's the bigger the mirror is. I did
I
that with
think you
my
don't
mom.
protest too much. Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
My mom was my biggest mirror, and all I did was, try to not be like her my entire
Hmm.
life. I am not like my mother, darn it.
Yep.
And
Yep. I
then
used to hear when you would say you so much like your mother, that your mother used to do that. Nah, I'm not her.
not me, not me. But
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget it. I went to lunch with one of my students, a very wonderful student who gets an A in my classes, and we were talking about stuff, and I got on my high horse and I said, "Oh, I'm not like my mother." And she said, "Well, what is your mother like?" And I said, "Well, she's very judgmental and she's very negative," and started going down the whole list of things that my mother is. And she kind of just smiled and said, "So, who's judgmental?" I went, "Oh, shit."
Yeah. Ow. Ow, ow, ow.
But
The
in my
student
face,
taught the teacher. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
in my face. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's a good teacher right there. Yeah, Dave was saying, I feel I'm here watching you because of an old connection. Is that why we're here? It could
could
be.
be, could be. Yeah.
It very well could be. I think you're here watching us because you watched Mama D before you watched me. I think you follow Mama D.
He's addicted. Okay, something.
Aw.
Yeah. Hi, Anna.
It's okay. I bring them all along. There you go.
Yeah. Let's see. Hold on a second. I found as the first place I had to be honest was the mirror. Yeah. Yeah, it is. And that's the hardest thing you'll ever have to do. As long as you live.
But
It'll be
it's
the
worth
hardest.
it.
Yes.
Worth it.
In the end,
Yeah.
it'll be worth it. Yep.
I use an example of, I refer to the mirror sometimes as two sides of a seesaw. So if you're pushing down that one side, it has to come up somewhere. And so the mirror is the
Yeah.
reflection of what you're pushing down. But when you see what you're pushing down and you feel it and process it and get rid of it, the seesaw can balance out. So you're doing the work on this side, like I said before about my husband, my wonderful husband. I'm doing all the work and he's getting the benefits and things shift. I had one time with him where when we first got married, he was just angry all the time. And I kept thinking, God, I didn't marry this angry guy. I mean, he's like punching walls and stuff. And I'm like, what's going on here? And finally I said, okay, what is he mirroring? And I realized that I had spent my entire life suppressing my anger. So I was like the side of the seesaw pushing it down, and he was acting on it. So when I
Yeah.
resolved that and I looked at my anger and I released it, suddenly he stopped punching out walls. It was pretty amazing, pretty miraculous.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Mm.
You gotta jump on the seesaw to get Bob to be so happy again. Usually, Bob's happy again. You got a boat. We call him Mr. Grumpy Pants a lot because he gets
Yeah.
grumpy.
Aw.
I don't call him that. I call him
Yeah,
lovely
Belly
boobs.
Bob. Belly Bob. Because he'll come walking into the room, be talking on the computer like this, and all she sees is his belly.
His belly. Belly
Because
Bob.
his hands behind me, and it's always
Luckily, he's got a shirt on.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I would be like, oh, God, no, Bob, don't do that. Bob's in the chat room, so I can tease him all up. Mm.
Yeah, she does. She does. She knows that he knows I love him. You know I love him, but I do. I call him Grumpy right to his face. Everybody knows it. But he's been happier since he got his boat, so this is a good thing. Interesting analogy, Darian says. All right, so all right, out of all these things, though, that you do, like Mom was saying before, like kind of culminating things, and you wanted to dig deeper into more like past life things. Is it more that you want to dig deeper into your own past life things or other people's past life things? Is that what you
I think,
feel like the road you want to go down?
um, I think it was both in the beginning that, when I would work with somebody, I would get in touch with stuff, and there was always an equal balance of value that I would get from helping other people. And now it just feels like so much of that is resolved. I don't have many buttons anymore, and I don't have too many mirrors showing up in my face anymore. So it really is helping other people really dig deep. But I'm always open and willing to see the mirror.
Oh, that is awesome. It's,
Careful what I say. It's really about helping other people in this journey.
mm-hmm. So, and out of everything that you've done, what's been your biggest challenge
Yeah.
in everything?
Biggest challenge, getting people to do the work, you know, because it is so deep. And I warn people, I don't pull any punches. I used to introduce my classes by saying, oh, you'll discover this and the unicorns and flowers and dancing off into the sunset stuff. And very slowly introduce them to the hard stuff. But nowadays I'm just like, you know what? It's a lot of work. Here's your shovel, here's your mirror, let's do it. And so it's hard to get people that are that committed. And I think people are finally shifting and getting to that point. I hate to say it, but I think all the stuff we're going through right now is really causing people
Yeah.
to stop and look and go, what the heck is going on here? What do I need to do about this? So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really shifting people
Oh,
deeply and because of the losses that we're experiencing or the pain or the uncertainty or whatever it is, but people are starting to get it. The shift is really happening. So
uh,
yeah, I think that's the biggest challenge though, doing the work.
yeah.
So in other words, he'll look at anybody who wants to take your course. You better put on your big girl panties or your big boy underwear, or whatever, boots. Okay, be prepared to do the work, because if you don't do the work, you're not only wasting Royce's time, but you're wasting your time.
Exactly.
This is something that you have to give it 100%. And if you're not ready for it now, don't.
Yep. Yep.
You
If
got
you're
to be
not
ready for
man
it.
or woman enough to jump, don't. Right?
Mhm. You got to look at that mirror and say to yourself, can I do this? Can I
Yeah,
put the work into it?
you
And I
can.
have to agree, because I would love to do it, but I know that right now I cannot put the work into it. So, but eventually I'll be knocking on your door,
Oh, yay. Awesome.
virtually,
Yay.
virtually knocking on your door.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
because
Well,
people are like, oh my gosh, as bad as everything that's going on, they have the time to stop and do things, the time to stop and look in the mirror. This is the time to do it. And I thought, oh my gosh, this, I, for other reasons, I've been home since last June. And it's like, I thought, oh my God, I'm going to have time to do things for myself. Not. I seem to be busier doing things, and I'm enjoying them. Don't get me wrong, I'm enjoying them. It's like I got two shows going. I got books to read. I got people who. It's like, and then it's like, what about me? But it's not for me. I look at it. It's not my time at this moment. Other people need what I can do for them, or with them, and I'm okay with
Look
that.
at how much better you will be for them
Mm.
as the real true you.
Oh, trust me, there's been a lot of changes. This, yes, and Mama D used to do everything to bend over backwards to make sure everybody was happy and joyful. And now it's like, yeah, I don't think so, not so much anymore. So long as I can do for myself, which and I made a couple of changes this week. So it's like, yeah, I gotta wait up. Hold ice.
Yeah. Well, has their time, but you're gonna
Yep.
make yourself a priority, you know.
Yeah.
And when you're ready to do that, and I hope a lot of you that are listening and or watching are, and get a hold of Royce. Yeah.
can I
Well,
can I
think of
say
the
one more
link.
thing about can I say one
Yes.
more thing about that? Because I know that it's a lot of work and I know that it takes some time, but we all have our own timeline,
Mm.
and the only thing getting in the way is fear. And I talk about fear all the time
Mhm.
as false evidence appearing real. And the other way I talk about it is fuck everything and run. Great acronyms, but anything that gets in the way, that's the only thing that gets in the way. And when you're able to say to yourself, wow, it's just fear. You know, I used to teach children's classes, and these little 6-year-olds were so great. And I would be talking, they could only listen for like 10 minutes, right? But I would be
Mhm.
talking about stuff. And one time I did a whole lecture on fear to these 6-year-olds. And one of them looked at me and she goes, so Royce, it's just fear. And I went, oh, yeah, that's it. It's
That's,
all it is. It's
that's
just
it.
fear.
Yep.
You know, we give it all this power, but, you know, pushing through it and getting through it and realizing it is just fear is so empowering. So, yeah.
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 And we have
Do-
excuses. We have all kinds of excuses that we give, but it's just
yeah.
fear.
Yep.
Yes.
Procrastination.
Now you said you're
Excuses.
waiting for people to build up a group. Do you do one-on-one sessions? Like if somebody wants to, and not do it with a group, but just do it with you one-on-one, either Skype, Zoom, or whatever. Do you do
Yes.
those?
Yes. And that's also a commitment. I won't do just one. It's kind of signing up for a series. So yeah,
Mhm.
because it's like taking a shovel full. Here's my shovel again. You take a shovel full and you've exposed the next layer. So it's really important to do, you know, 6 or 8 sessions. They don't have to be all at the same time, but it's really important. I think it's really important because I've worked with people that so much was done in the first session that I never hear from them ever again, which is great, but I'm sure there's stuff that you know they're ready to dig up
Yeah. That's
further.
just
There's
scratching the
deeper
surface.
layers.
Yeah, because you've got it as a process. You know, you're
It is a
starting at
process.
here and you're going to peel like the onion. You're going to peel the layers down and peel the layers down, get to the root of the problem, then resolve it. You know, so it's a process. It's not an easy
It is.
thing. It's
Mhm.
not. And the more you've lived, the more complicated, the more you've had lives, the more
Yeah.
complicated it will be. So everyone's going to have a different story. Everyone's going to have a different rendition of this whole course, you know, but the end result will be the same for everyone.
Eventually, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
You can just
It
get,
might take people a different way. Everybody might take a different path to get down there. Might take one person 2 courses, and might take somebody else 6 courses or 6 sessions. But in the end, they all meet up in the end knowing this is exactly where everybody needs to be.
right. And the world
Yeah.
needs to be in the same place right now.
Oh
The
yeah.
world is
Great
out there.
equalizer.
So, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
I'm like, I get to the point where I get to be ashamed to be a human being. If I
Mhm.
watch the news, you know, and seeing all the stuff that's going on, seeing all the people that are supposedly supposed to be in charge of our countries and stuff, um, plural, you know, not just our country, all the countries, all the shit that's going on everywhere. You know, I do get ashamed. I'm ashamed to be a human being on this planet. You know, like where is the lessons learned? Why can't people understand that we've been through all this kind of crap before? And
Mhm.
yet, here it is repeating again. And there it is again. There's the insanity again.
Yeah,
Doing,
because we haven't learned it before.
yeah,
Yeah.
expecting different
Exactly.
results. Not gonna happen. You know?
Well, I think that I have this theory, and I did not invent this theory. It's called the 100th monkey theory. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but
No.
the 100th monkey it was a scientific study. As far as I know, it was real. I would like to believe it was real, where there was this isolated island that only had monkeys and a few other creatures living on it. And I guess one of the monkeys one day decided to, I don't know if he was taught to do this or he just spontaneously figured this out, but he took his little food that he'd been eating and he decided to walk over to the lake and wash it. And so he washed his food and ate it, and it was great. And then simultaneously, without seeing this monkey, monkeys from all over various islands all started to wash their food.
Yeah,
So it's that kind of thing.
that's an experiment you can watch. They actually had that on, and also using tools, various tools that,
Tools.
you
Mhm.
know, these monkeys were given certain tools. They would be given, you know, fruit at the top of the tower, or something when they did something right. So like they were conditioned at first, but then they left them. And they passed on what they learned to generation to generation to generation. And and it's really wild how that works, but it's an energy thing that goes out
It
into the
is.
universe.
Yeah. And so as we get it, as more and more humans get it, and whatever this COVID thing is helping us get it, I think,
I hope.
it's going to spread and people are going to get it more and more. So I'd like to look at it that way. Yeah.
There'll be an upside, there has to be, because the world cannot keep going on the way it is. And if everybody would take that time, again, everybody look in the mirror. A lot of those mouthy people, the ones spouting off and leading the riots and everything else, go look in the mirror for a minute. Just a minute. Think about what you're doing.
Or a lifetime, yeah.
But the thing is, some people are afraid to look in the mirror because they're afraid of what they're going to see. They're afraid that other people are right, and they don't want to, and that means that they're wrong. It's not that you're wrong; it's just that you have to learn from mistakes. And it's big ones, little ones. They're still mistakes, and they can still be fixed. But some people don't want to see that.
Yeah, peaceful protests, I don't have a problem with. If you're talking and you're trying to get your point across, and I don't have a problem with that, but to use it as a platform to loot and destroy property and monuments and everything else, no, that's wrong. Just basically and instinctively, that it's wrong. End of story, but I think everyone, and then again, people will be like, well, this, point the fingers. Well, I'm doing this because of this, and I'm doing that because of that. Stop. Just stop. Everyone needs to stop, and do something like this. Put the focus on you. Where did I go wrong? What am I doing wrong? What is it that I see in there that's pissing me off totally? Where can I change it that I can be a better person? Then if I can be a better person, maybe someone else will see that I can be a better person. Maybe they can be a better person, and go from there,
Yeah, I firmly believe that if people were able to look in the mirror and see what the button is and understand what's being shown to us, that's pushing our buttons, I firmly believe that there would be peace on earth because nobody would need to do anger. Nobody would need to destroy. Nobody would need to kill, and it's as simple and profound as just looking inside and saying, okay, what is being mirrored to me? What's showing up? Why am I having a button pushed? Why am I upset here? What is this about for me? So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what you're doing is a great service for people,
Yeah.
and I mean, and you've lived it, you're living it, you're doing it. It's not like you're just preaching, you're not preaching.
That's for sure.
So,
An RV.
Yes.
So,
Right.
and this is,
And the thing is, there's so many people out there that are willing to help, and you just have to stop and listen. There's this and I know that it's like a big name type of thing, but there's this show that I watch called The Red Table Talk with Jada Pinkett Smith, and some of the discussions that she has with people, especially now, it's like, holy shit, okay, that's a mirror that I watched a show of hers the other day. That's a mirror I didn't want to have to look at, and it's like I thought I was past that, and it's like nope, not past it. Got to watch it again. Got to go back into that mirror. So there are so many people in our lives that will become that mirror, even if it's for just a tiny moment. That will become that mirror that just sort of like, hello, there you go, darling. Remember that one? Like, oh yeah, okay, that hurts.
Let me slap you upside the head.
Yeah, no, I didn't like it too much.
And with more self-awareness, you get the mirrors that much faster too. I mean, I've had situations where I'm, down the street and I've noticed myself having a judgmental thought or, irritated with a friend. And it's like, if you can just stop for a minute and go, okay, what is this person mirroring? Boom, it's there, it's done. So, yeah.
Yep. I know, we got a lot going on here. Dave's saying too much corruption out there. Yes, greed, corruption. These are all, human emotion things. You got to.
I'm sorry, but I love Snapchat filters,
Greedy
Jojo.
people, yeah, I know, I'm looking at that too. Greedy people are like the worst kind of people. They truly are. They're only out for themselves, and they will trump all over everybody. Trump all over everybody.
But remember, in the end, karma will get them back. In karma's time frame, not ours.
Right.
As much as we want karma to kick them in the butt now, so we can see it. Karma may just decide to say, "Hey, you know what? It'll come in my time frame, in the next lifetime.
Next
So and
slide.
so will get his or her butt kicked. Trust me." You know,
As long as we have next lifetimes.
there
what
is,
I'm saying?
there is. I'm making sure everybody comes back. I'm coming back for sure. You know me, I can't shut up.
We might
But
have
the,
our next lifetime might be on a different planet.
but the important thing is, again, to not worry about their end of it, just to keep looking at yourself.
Yep.
You know,
Exactly.
Yeah.
corruption. Okay, how am I corrupt? Where am I corrupt? So just focus back on yourself.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, because we were saying that before, like everyone that is, when they're doing something that you don't like and it makes that trigger, what is it in you? Why are you relating to that? What are you doing? All right.
And it can be very suppressed and it can be very kind of sideways, but there's something that you're doing that's the same, or there's something that you've suppressed about yourself and you're acting like you're not that way, that it's showing you.
Hmm. Hey, I got a question. Off of all of this heaviness here, on the lighter side, you said you thought of yourself as an artist. Are you an artist?
I was an artist and I was also an interior designer. We have so much in common. Oh my gosh.
We
Yeah,
do.
I was an artist my entire life, and I stopped being an artist and started being a sculptor of people's souls.
That's wonderful.
But that's
Yeah,
still an artist.
it is. Yeah. Yeah, it's
It is
just a
an
different
art.
form.
Yeah, it
It's
is
just
an
a
art.
different medium.
Well, I think art is from the soul anyway. So, I mean, that's just who you are. That comes out in various forms, and then you want to help humanity. Um, Again, this is going to go way up. Jojo says Buddhism teaches that too. Yes, but you go way back into like when man first started, and you got the caveman days. You got the artists and the hunters and the gatherers and the nurturers and everyone has their place, and they all work to make the community work. They all work together. And artists have a big part of that. Why? Because they're telling the story of the past and bringing it into now and into the future. So what are you doing? You're bringing the stories of the past into the now and hopefully into the future. So you're still
Yes.
seeing the art, you're still doing it. You are still an artist. It's just, yes, you are. You're forming a life, a soul, restore it to, reboot the soul.
Yes.
So you got to do the work. And I
Hardwired.
Hardwire,
Heart,
hardwire.
hardwired.
Where's your word? Life
Yes.
is art. Yeah. Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
Yes.
It is, and I just want equality for all. Yeah, so do I, but it'll never happen. Not in our lifetime. Maybe, hopefully, in the next generation or the next 2 generations, that would be a wonderful thing. They got to get rid of money.
I have faith that it will happen.
Work on
I'm
it
not
in
saying
yourself.
I'm not saying it's going to be in our lifetime, but I have faith that equality will happen. And the thing is, we have to, as much as we have to work, like sorry, like Roy said, we have to work within ourselves first, and then as we improve, outside will improve. And the thing is, it's not, because a lot of this stuff is like, aside from get the COVID out of the way, but the racism. A lot of people go, "Oh, I'm not racist." Okay, it's not always racism. It's biased, and that's a word that I just learned, and it's like everybody has bias. No
Mm-hmm.
matter who you are, what you're doing, there's always something about something that you don't like. But
Yep.
everybody else is like, "Oh, I'm okay with that." But yeah, but it's not that you don't like the whole. It's like something happened to me from a man a bajillion years ago. I don't hate men, because I still married one. But that one person, whatever that one person did to you back in the day, you cannot allow them to format your life in the future. You take control of that.
Yeah, let it go. Yeah, you gotta let that stuff go. Release.
Yeah.
You know, hold on.
That's
You
what I
learn.
do.
Yeah, you learn your life lessons, and move on. Take what you need out of the
But
situation.
we can't do spiritual bypass though. We've
Right,
got to
right.
do the work
No,
to
gotta do.
pull up
Yeah,
the
I gotta do
roots.
the work.
Yeah, my
Mm.
friend, a dear, dear, dear friend of mine, is going through literal hell right now. Bad, breaking up of a marriage and everything. It's really bad. And there was a post about someone saying something about being grateful for these challenges because of the place that they're in at that time. You know, and she's like, I can't believe it. They're saying this. There's no way in hell this means this is crock of shit. No, right? I mean, I'm like, Shay, one of these days you might think differently. Like
Mm-hmm.
because this too shall pass,
Yep.
and you will grow from this. And everybody will grow from whatever bad situation there's. Another one of my, like we all done that. Yeah, evolving. We evolve into a being, into what makes us us. You know, I went through all kinds of hardships and things like that. I'm sure you
Mm-hmm.
did. I'm sure you did. Everybody has. And that it's how you handle them. Yeah, so you're gonna
Yep.
choose to drag it with you, like a big sack, and lug. Who wants to lug that with them their whole life? You don't. Get rid of it.
No.
It's in the past. Let it go. Let it go.
And get some tools to find out what the lessons were and what you decided and all of that stuff that you got to do with it. Otherwise, it's just trying to let it go and it won't go anywhere. It'll just keep repeating. So, yeah,
Right.
it's
And
the work.
that's the process that Royce takes you through.
Yes.
to get to that point, to get rid of all this stuff, because you don't want to lug this crap with you. All it does is
Yeah.
weigh you down. It weighs your family down. It weighs your friends down. I mean, when you're gloom and doom constantly all the time, who wants to be hanging around you? Nobody. You
Mm-hmm.
know, why are you gloom and doom all the time? You might be gloom and doom all the time and you don't even realize it. You know, get rid of
Yep.
that.
Very true.
Get rid
Very
of
true.
Get rid of it. So, Royce, what else do you do? We're coming down to like to 5 minutes left here.
What
Yeah.
else do I do? Teach and take care of my husband. And I
Oh,
work
so
with people individually and get big shovels out. So yeah, there's so much transformation that happens from people when people do this work. It still blows my mind when people contact me and say, remember that process that we did like 2 years ago and then things just shifted. So it's just truly amazing. It's just truly an honor to do that with people. Yeah, there's nothing I would rather do.
awesome. Do you have plans to write another book?
Yes, actually, I'm writing one right now with one of my students, and it's talking very specifically about past lives. So yeah, that's in the works. And I'm also working on a series of children's books. I wrote a children's book a long time ago that I never pursued publishing, and it wasn't the right time in the world. But now I think it's the right time, and I'm going to do a whole series for children.
Oh,
Ooh,
that's
hot diggity.
awesome. All right. Well, you have to keep me in the loop and let me know what's going on.
Yeah, because then what I like to do is I like to read books live on air. So I'm looking for a good children's book to do that live on air.
Great,
Because I'm
good.
not reading some of the books that people have been suggesting. Mostly it's the guys. I'm not reading 50 Shades of Grey, guys. Y'all can forget that
Oh
stuff.
no. Oh God. Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, Mama's got to take a self. I don't know what it is today. but but that's all fascinating stuff. That's wonderful. Jojo, you definitely get in touch with Royce for sure. Um, now, you do mention a lot about wake up calls, and kind of go into that a little bit. Like, what can people look for a good wake up call for themselves?
Well, I think I hate to say it again, but the best wake up call is to be in touch with your triggers, the buttons that get pushed, because they're going to show you a mirror. They're going to take you deep inside if you start to really look. Um, and every time I work with somebody, every time I do some inner journey work with people, there are tremendous wake ups that happen. It's like, they were walking dead and they wake up. So
Mm.
that's like a spiritual wake up call that happens. It's really amazing.
Yeah. Now, if anybody can relate to that, please contact her, because I can see that The Walking Dead. Yeah, you shuffle through life like, oh well, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna go to work, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna pick up the kids, I'm gonna go make dinner, and then you get into the routine and the rut, and
Sad. We're numb. We're all numb. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, let's do something different. Take a left, don't take a right.
Yeah.
You
Be
know?
authentic.
Yeah.
Be authentic, be true to
Be who you
yourself.
truly are.
Yes,
Yes.
true to yourself, and hopefully it will be something that will be catchy, and other people will want what you have.
Yes.
Well, I think if we do the work on ourselves and other people will see it and they'll say like there's something different about you. It doesn't have to be just outwardly, but that when you make a change inside yourself,
Oh yeah,
it comes out.
yep,
So
yeah,
people will notice the changes that you make, and if they don't, on them.
90 seconds.
Because sometimes we can't see it in ourselves, but other
Exactly.
people reflect it to us. So yeah,
Yep.
definitely.
Well, 90 seconds. All right, so I'm gonna have to wrap this up. Again, let's see. Let's put up your.
The website is perfectlifeawakening.com or roycemorales.com. There are links in the chat room. There will be links. If you can't find a link, message either Gina or myself and we'll get you connected.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, you just cut out a little bit there, but yeah. So please get in touch with Royce. Royce, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Hang here for a few minutes. While after I play the exit video, I'd like to have a little recap with you. And everybody, thank you so much for joining us again. I hope you learned something tonight, and we love you, and we will all see you next week.
Yep.
Buonanotte,
Awesome.
everybody.
Buonanotte. Night, everyone.
Thank you again for joining us for another episode of The Fox Den. We would love it if you would go over to our YouTube channel, which is The Fox Den, hosted by Gina Bankston. Please like and subscribe our channel and join us in the chat room there while we stream live every Thursday evening from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll see you next week. Good night.